Hello there! Do you find that you have maybe 1, 2, 3, or perhaps 100 hang-ups that keep you from 100% liberation from anorexia nervosa? Okay, well watch the following video, like or subscribe, and peace. Hello there, my name is Billy Juliana. I'm 49 years old and I have a 40-year history of dealing with anorexia nervosa, and I'm currently following the recovery methods espoused by Tabitha Farrar, Kayla Rose Katecki, and Lisa Orris. And yes, today I do want to talk about the hang-ups that I have faced as I have embarked upon and undertaken my anorexia recovery journey. Hang-ups that have kept me from getting 100% recovered. However, I still am on the recovery journey and I'm determined to get through some of these hang-ups in order to get 100% liberated from this disease. But I wanted to talk about some of mine, and as I thought about some of mine, I realized, whoops, this is going to be a several-part series because I've had many hang-ups along the way, or ways in which anorexia has tried to sabotage my recovery journey along the way, just tons of ways. So I probably need to make several videos. And the reason why there are so many ways in which anorexia has booby-trapped my recovery is because the disease is just so intricately intertwined with my psychology and my being. And those of us who are older, a lot of the anorexic lifestyle has just become who we are, even though there is a core who we are that is not connected to eating disorder. And that core who we are probably at this point is screaming, can you please liberate me, because I'm starving and I want to live and I don't like being tired all the time. Just let go and let me live. That core part of me has been screaming that for a long time. And by getting into this method of recovery, it's finally coming alive. And of course, anorexia is very invested in restriction and keeping me safe from all of these perceived threats out in the world. But what I don't realize with the anorexia is that I don't have to just expose myself to all these perceived threats. I can get rid of the restriction, I can get rid of all of that and be much more healthy in body and in mind, and just introduce myself to life bit by bit. Just learn as I go. I'm not going to just have to all of a sudden become another person. No, I'm just going to get rid of restriction and anorexia and the eating disorder. Now, I know a lot of our identities are tied to that, but that's really not who we are. And who we are will develop as we just get rid of all the junk that is associated with restriction. So, having said that, let me just go ahead and get into some of the main ones that I thought of for this video. And the first one is future casting. Yes, I have a bad problem with staying in the present, and over the years that I've been working with my eating disorders coach, she has always been like, stop future casting, stay present. Stay present. And she is very disciplined herself about staying present and being mindful about the present moment. Because if in any given moment I have a food thought, I need to act on that and I need to be going and eating it. Now, I realize practically sometimes that can't happen because we have jobs or we have tasks, things like that. I understand that. But it's really important that I satisfy that mental and physical hunger to the best of my ability. And if I have a job or a task that might get in the way, it's very important that I satisfy that hunger at the end of the job or the task. A lot of times anorexia will come in there and try to sabotage that food thought that got interrupted by a job or a task by saying, hey, guess what? You're not hungry anymore because you fed yourself with the job and the task that you were doing. It's a very strange phenomenon, but it does happen for me, where I'll finish something and be like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. But that's mental hunger. If I'm sitting here assessing whether I'm hungry or not, it means I'm hungry, so I need to go eat. So whenever I have mental or physical hunger, then I need to act on it. And like I said, if there is something that I have to do where I can't actually eat, then I need to make sure that I eat as soon as that task is completed. So future casting, though, has to do with all kinds of different types of time. So I can futurecast within the day, and I can futurecast into the beyond. It can be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be weeks, months, and years. But in the day, it looks like something like this. If I eat that, then I will feel full later, and I really want to eat later because that's when I reward myself with food, and I don't want to be full and not be able to eat. Well, more than likely, if I eat now when I'm having a food thought, I can still eat later even if I'm full. So that's kind of bunk right there. But also, if I'm having a food thought and I don't act on it, then I'm just giving in to the restriction and I'm reinforcing the restrictive mindset. So if I'm having a food thought, a lot of times I'll immediately slip into future casting and be like, but wait, I need to think this out. I need to think how I'll feel afterwards. So this is another way in which future casting works. It anticipates the emotions that I'm going to have if I eat something. If I eat this now, then I'll feel guilty, so I'm not going to do it. If I eat this now, I'll feel very angry at myself, so I'm not going to do it. If I eat this now, I'll feel very anxious about my weight gain and all of that, so I'm not going to do it. So that is all a form of future casting. I have to stay present. That is the main tool that I need to hone, is staying present. And that is, if I have food thoughts at any moment, I need to act on them if I can. And all this stuff about gloom and doom in the future, especially with regard to body weight, because that's the biggest gloom and doom that we can come up with if we're suffering from restrictive eating disorders, is that our body weights will go to somewhere that we don't like. So I'm predicting all this gloom and doom in the future. I need to get rid of that as well. Stay present as much as possible. All right, so that's future casting. That's a big hang up for me, and I'm still working on that because staying present is just not a discipline I'm good at. My mind always wants to jump forward, and I'm like, oh, let's just stay present. Okay, another issue that has popped up for me is rapid weight gain. And I know that I've talked about this before in another video, and I feel like I shortchanged people a little bit in that video because that video is a little bit brief. But my main message with that is, doesn't matter if my body gains weight rapidly or not. If I'm still having mental and physical hunger that is great and I want to eat a lot of food, then I just need to keep eating a lot of food. Because what will happen is my body's weight gain will slow down. It's just very eager to store energy. And so if I face rapid weight gain, I can't get hung up on the fact that I've gained all this weight rapidly and I'm still having great mental and physical hunger. It just means that I need to keep going. I need to keep going and not get stopped by the fear that my body is rapidly gaining weight and it's out of control somehow. That is an anorexic belief. My body is under control. It's just getting fed and it's utilizing the energy to the best of its ability. And eventually it will level out. Everything will balance out. Of course, none of us trusts that this will actually happen, but it will. It has to. A stasis has to form at some point along the way. So I can't get hung up on rapid weight gain. And like I said, I wish that I hadn't gotten hung up in my own recovery journey, because I gained weight very rapidly last year after a period of really going all in and eating unrestrictedly and resting. And I got hung up on that very fact because I got into this weight zone where I was like, wait a minute, I'm still gaining weight and I don't like this weight that I'm at. So hello? And then I got stuck in restriction, and that kept me from 100% liberating myself from this disease after I'd gotten such a great start and embarked upon a really strong journey. So just want to say, do not get derailed by rapid weight gain. Okay, another hang up is busting our routines. I don't like messing up my routines, even though I really want to change my routines. Like all this stuff that I do in the morning, and I've talked about this in other videos, I get up in the morning, and yes, now I am introducing food right at the outset when I get up, but it's not a lot of food, it's just a little bit of food. I really just need to have a huge like giant cookie or something that I put back here. But what I'm trying to get at is I have a whole morning routine that is so annoying to me, and yet I'm very fearful about changing that. This is a hang up. I need to change that. I need to do something radical, like switch to taking a shower at the end of the day and not rely on this whole morning shower routine, or even a shower routine at all. Just change it up. Now, this is not overly onerous to do. It's not something that's really, really hard for me to change some of these rituals or routines around my activities during the day. Now, I'm not saying that I need to go out and, you know, lead a parade or anything like that. We can't even do that right now anyway. I'm just saying that the way my personal routines, I always get scared about changing those, even though I really want to. So I'm just saying that this is a hang up. I need to get rid of the routines and the lower level movement stuff so that I can let myself get 100% liberated from this disease. So again, that is another way in which anorexia can sabotage me, is by throwing up the whole idea that I don't want to change my routines, even though I really want to change my routines. Okay. And the last thing I want to touch on for this video is body changes. Yes, this is a major hang up for me, and I know it's a major hang up for a lot of you as well. And some of it is not even weight gain, although a lot of it is related to weight gain. But my body has undergone a lot of changes as a result of feeding myself and gaining a lot of weight. And so I really don't understand what's going on with it. And I know that I made a body image video not too long ago. And in that, I'm talking about how I really don't understand a lot of the way in which my body is working, because my body has not functioned like a normal woman's body functions for my whole life, basically. It really has not. I basically bypassed puberty, and then I got into my 20s, and my 20s were probably my worst years with regard to my weight and all of that. And then 30s, I never really developed fully into a woman. So there's a lot going on with me physically that I do not understand. And I've heard some feedback from some of you who have watched some of my videos, and you too are experiencing some strange things that are going on as you go through the recovery journey. And a lot of it can become a hang up because it's stuff that I don't understand and I don't like, or I perceive that I don't like it, or I perceive it as bad. Then I go back to future casting and start thinking, oh no, what's going to happen? And one of the things that the body changes for me that's really difficult is acne and also skin issues in general. I have very sensitive skin at this point after having fed myself, you know, for the last 2.5 years. And so I'm having a lot of hormonal shifts going on in my body that's affecting my skin. So because of that, I start thinking, oh no, what's going on? This isn't right. This is going to be permanent. Is this a problem? And so there's a lot of judgment that I make about the body changes that are going on with me. And that becomes a hang up. I start hesitating with regard to food without even really realizing that I'm doing it, because I'm hung up in my head about my body and all the changes. And there's a part of me that's not even conscious or aware of how hung up and scared I am about becoming a full working, functioning human being. And then I just slip into restriction because there's so much fear inside me. And so I have to be really, really aware of this, that body changes are going to happen. A lot of them I'm not going to understand, because like I said, I never functioned fully like a human being in my life. So there's going to be a long stretch here of stuff happening that is mysterious. But I just have to allow it to happen and be really, really aware and conscious. Try to pull that fear into the conscious world and pull that connectivity to the restriction that's trying to hold me back from being a fully functioning human to the forefront, and be like, okay, I want to be 100% liberated from this disease. And so all of this stuff is going on in the background of my brain as well as in the foreground. I'm going to pull it all into the foreground and say, this all belongs to anorexia. So I'm going to sweep it aside, ignore it, or at least just let it sit there while I do my eating and I do my resting. So I'm going to stop there with the hang-ups for today. That's 4 hang-ups. We had future casting, we had rapid weight gain, we had changing routines, and we also had body changes. Those 4 things are pretty main hang-ups for me, even still today. I'm going to get into more hang-ups in future videos, so bear with me while I get those together. But until then, please eat unrestrictedly, rest for a prolonged period of time. Don't worry about the body weight. Your body will take care of itself. And speaking of taking care, please take care of yourselves overall. And until next time, peace.